Good morning, Vertical Church. How you doing? My name is Tim. I'm the Next Steps pastor here. Welcome to day 5 of our 14-day prayer devotional we're calling the Move Me Movement. Over these 14 days, we're looking back at the Old Testament to see how God moved the Israelites forward from their exodus out of slavery in Egypt to their 40 years in the wilderness and into their conquest of the Promised Land. Yesterday, we talked about strength and courage for the journey. Today, we're going to talk about the power of God's presence. Following the Israelites' crossing of the Red Sea, they journeyed through the wilderness, encountering challenges and eventually reaching Mount Sinai, where they received and reviewed the law of God. However, due to the incident with Aaron and the Israelites worshiping a golden calf while Moses was on Mount Sinai, God's presence became distant. In chapter 33 of Exodus, we find Moses pleading with God to continue his presence with his people. It says, Moses said to the Lord, "See, you say to me, bring up this people, but you have not let me know whom you will send with me. Yet you have said, I know you by name, and you have also found favor in my sight. Now therefore, if I have found favor in your sight, please show me now your ways, that I may know you in order to find favor in your sight. Consider too that this nation is your people." And he said, "My presence will go with you, and I will give you rest." Exodus chapter 33, verses 12 through 14. For Moses, it wasn't enough to know that he and Israel would make it to the Promised Land. In his estimation, the Promised Land was nothing special without the special presence of the Lord. Moses was determined to have God's presence with Israel as close as possible. This was the next step towards revival and restoration of Israel's relationship with God. Moses reminded the Lord of his promise to accompany the people on their journey. Moses based his appeal on the favor of God, for he knew the Lord was merciful and gracious and that the people were guilty. If God gave them what they deserved, they would all be destroyed. Moses wanted something for Israel that would show that they were not just like all of the other nations. And that could be the only unique and powerful presence of their God. This is what distinguished Israel from all of the other nations. Their God was present with them. As the Vertical Church moves forward, we can have a strong vision, a dynamic strategy, and a detailed plan. But more than all those things, we need the presence of God. Moses refused to move without God's presence, and we should too. For us to walk in the presence of God also means we're called to follow Christ. This may mean making some tough decisions, like leaving societal comforts and leaving out our own expectations, or even distancing ourselves from people or things that are keeping us from Jesus. However, we will gain more than we ever leave behind when we follow Him. As we walk in the presence of God, we will find the joy of belonging to Him, the truth that He has died for us, and that He is conforming us into His glorious image. As you pray today, invite God's presence into every area of your life, as well as the Vertical Church's mission. Ask God to give you a fresh filling of the Holy Spirit. Intentionally set aside a period of time to engage in prayer and reading the Bible. Make sure it's a quiet place to connect with God through your thoughts and words, and spend some time in silence, listening for the voice of God.